Before I get into this tap handle feature, I wanted to mention something about generally my tap handle videos and stuff like that, so it'll be easier for you guys to find out or find your way around. Because I was at the Salem Holiday Market this past weekend, or the Salem Haunted Gatherings, Haunted Happenings. That's what it's called. Sorry about that. I was up at Salem Haunted Happenings this weekend, and I was chatting to an awesome dude about Schlitz tap handles. And there's a really, really sweet bull tap handle I've got set aside for him. And with that, it was a older video that I had that I did a feature on that. And I know it can sometimes be a little bit tricky to find the videos if it's an older or if it's a tap handle I haven't posted about in a while. So one of the easier ways to find things is actually on my YouTube channel. So if you're following me on TikTok or Instagram, then that's a great way of discovering my content. But if it's something where you're trying to find something specific, if you're trying to find an old feature, then you can always check out my YouTube channel and do a search there, because that way you can search for the actual specific terms, and it's probably a little bit easier than TikTok or Instagram. So I did want to just call that out. Now, for this particular tap handle, I'm super excited because I was able to get an old vintage one that is still in the box, and then I actually have the tap handle over here. So you can see a little bit of it now, but let's first start out with the box. So this is one of the old Budweiser Olympics tap handles. They've done a few different versions of the Budweiser Olympics tap handles. I've got one that's a few videos back that is one with the metal topper on it. It's pretty cool, worth checking out. That one was for the Salt Lake City Olympics. Maybe that was 2002. I can't remember off the top of my head. Something like that. And then this one, this is one of the cool things about the ones that are still in the boxes, is that then you're actually getting a date on it. So you actually have a date of October 31st, 1995. So it's a little bit older, but actually it's not that old as far as vintage tap handles go. And there's a couple of kind of cool things to point out about this. So first of all, with this packaging is a little bit notable because this is the older style of packaging where it's going to have the brewery name on it, but you don't have a lot of clear visible marking for any tap handle producer. And so that means that sometimes they actually would have gone out and had it produced with like a subsidiary company or a company that was doing something specifically just for them. But you'll see that pretty much all of this stuff is really just Budweiser naming. So it's worth noting that, because that's a little bit different than now. Now with a lot of the tap handles, you'll see the brand of the tap handle producer on it. So that means that if it was produced by Tap Handles, taphandles.com, or if it was produced by, why am I blanking on their name? There's another one of the major ones. I'll think of it later on. But if it's produced by one of those, oftentimes it'll have the name of the producer on it. So taphandles.com or Kirschland or one of those, a lot of times the outer box will actually have their name and then information about the brewery. So that's notable. With this one, it doesn't. And then with this one, you'll also know that they've got an item number. With some of my tap handles on my site, I'll have my own item number, so that way it's kind of like a universal reference. Whereas with these ones will be a reference for whichever producer made it. So each individual company will have their own numbering system. And then, of course, Anheuser-Busch and Budweiser. And this is the Olympic Torch tap marker. That is the name for it. And this is actually one of the taps itself. So this is one that I got separately. So this is unopened, still totally sealed. And this is one of the actual taps. So it's actually a ton of fun. It's worth noting that this is pretty much, as far as I can tell, almost all plastic materials, but it is just an absolutely great design. Obviously, with Olympics, having it designed like the Olympic torch. And this overall is actually in pretty solid condition. You've got the flame up there with the red, white, and blue. And actually, if you look at it there, you can see that the sizes are actually stepped out. So smaller, a little bit larger, and then the largest there. They did do a good job with this design for kind of getting the basic elements of the torch in it. It does have the wraparound labeling here that says Budweiser, and that is a wraparound sticker. So normally, if you're looking for a break mark or something like that, that's a good way of checking to see whether it's a sticker or if it's painted on or something like that. And then you do have the USA down there, USA proud sponsor. And then right here, you've got a little marking. So I'm not quite sure what that's a reference to. It may be the U.S. Olympic Committee. That may be what that is a reference to, but it does have that number there. So I did want to just call that out. And then down here, this is how it attaches. So while this looks a little bit like a ferrule here, this is actually just a part of the rest of it. And then you do have the threading in there. One of the ways that sometimes they'll do that threading is by doing an insert that's actually part of the process there. And it does look like that's most likely what they did, but I can't tell 100%. Another thing to note about this is that this one is the Budweiser one, and there's also a Bud Light version of that that has the Bud Light colors as opposed to the Budweiser colors. So I do have one of those on the way. When I do receive that, then I'll do another video so y'all can check it out.